Good morning. This is 1 in 36, a presentation from Anderson Center for Autism, celebrating their centennial in 2024. 1 in 36 is a weekly show devoted to autism spectrum disorder.
Good morning and welcome to 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, Chief Development Officer at Anderson Center for Autism, and I am really happy to be speaking with the Executive Director, the new-ish Executive Director of the Autism Society of the Greater Hudson Region, Mr. Nathan Briggs. Nathan, good morning.
Good morning, Eliza. Thanks so much for having me today. Really appreciate being here.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Anderson is, I think has been kind of a partner and a collaborator, and certainly, as connected as we can be to the Autism Society Greater Hudson Region. We're going to get into kind of what that means and where that covers. And always a fan of any organization that's doing good things for families, for people seeking services, for people in need of support and help. Even now in 2024, I think you and I both know that sometimes these services remain elusive, are hard to navigate systems. And so all the help that we can provide as, doing our own type of work is really great. So I'm excited to hear more about the organization, what you're doing as Executive Director. But first, if you could just give us a little background on yourself.
Sure. Well, first, I would like to start with a thank you to you and to Anderson for being so supportive of Autism Society Greater Hudson Region as we begin to transform and evolve into what it is that we were, what it is that we are now, and what we really hope and aspire to be going forward. Really appreciate that partnership and that support. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm Nathan Briggs, an Anderson alum. I started with Anderson many years ago now. That's more than I care to name at this point.
I know you were there when I started, I think. So
I believe we were in the same orientation class, as a matter of fact.
So, not quite 20 years, but we're getting up there.
It's getting close. So I've been connected to the field almost 20 years now professionally. My connections actually go back much further to when my mom was working for the old institutional system for New York State at Wasatch Developmental Center in the Harlem Valley. So go way back. And ultimately, what I love about doing this work is that we have both the opportunity and really the obligation to be able to actually make a difference to something that's much bigger and much more important than just ourselves individually. And having worked with Anderson and other organizations throughout my career, and now stepping into this opportunity here at ASGHR, to really be able to have that impact and amplify that impact in being able to offer opportunities for informed choice around quality of life and connecting people with the services that they need and that they deserve really does speak to me. And I'm really grateful to be able to have partnerships with organizations such as Anderson and others here in the Greater Hudson region to be able to do that.
That's great. I share that enthusiasm and that passion. Question for you. Since we started right around the same time, you're remembering we were in orientation class together. That's wild. Feels like forever ago. But was Anderson your first foray into working specifically with the autistic community? As opposed to sort of a broader nonprofit or special needs community?
Yes, it was. And it was particularly well timed for both for me personally, but I think and also in just the development of the organization as well. As Anderson was beginning to step into specifically that lens of focusing on ASD and being able to understand how to develop an ABA-based model and the support of both the people that we were supporting, but also the development of the organization itself. As I was just a tremendous moment in time to be able to step into the organization, particularly in adult services. And having just recently completed my pedagogy training to be a secondary education teacher, for me, it was a great opportunity to take that differentiated instruction model that we had been imparted in our training and be able to apply it specifically in a person-centered environment, and being able to actually put the person at the center of the environment. Unlike my experience in the public school system, that wasn't a realistic opportunity. Stepping into adult services at that time, it was, and it was just such a rich opportunity with such a rich group to be able to work with, being able to help figure out what do you want to do with your life? How do you want to be able to make an informed choice on your own quality of life? And then thinking about how we would go about to do that systematically and effectively and efficiently in a way that it really offered real opportunities for people to choose how and when to grow. It was really wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really bringing me back, because that was quite a time. We were transitioning from Anderson School to Anderson Center for Autism. We had changed our name, but then the next sort of harder part of the work was living the mission, right? And living the name. And I also learned a tremendous amount for the first time, having been in private education for a long time before coming to Anderson. I learned a lot about autism itself, and sort of what it was and what the current, at that time, the discussion was in society and in our home communities and at Anderson. I ended up working a lot with families and getting to, a deeper understanding of the family experience, which kind of brings together a lot of what you're talking about as well and what you're doing now, I think, because now it's you were at Anderson, which we serve, at least on our children's campus and our adult services program, we serve predominantly very sort of challenged individuals. Really complex, sometimes non-vocal, sometimes minimally vocal individual. And now you're in an environment where, at least my understanding, but you're going to clarify, is that it's a little more broad. You might be getting calls from individuals, autistic people, calling on their own behalf for help, family members. So tell us about the Autism Society Greater Hudson Region, and also tell us a little bit about what you're doing as executive director.
Sure. So your point is well made and taken, in that this organization, very much the constituency that we serve, is very reflective of that broad spectrum of autism itself. That we are here to be able to connect with resources and supports people who are on the spectrum, their families, their circles of supports, community leaders, community organizations, all of those different entities and people that intersect with autism spectrum disorder. We are there to help be able to support and connect with the services, or help them be services connected to the people that actually could benefit from those. So to have that 360 view on what it is that we're here to do, and the age range can be from newborn into end of life services. So it really does cover the broad spectrum of being human and having an ASD diagnosis at the same time. So it's really a rich opportunity to be able to have that impact every day. So Autism Society Greater Hudson Region is ultimately an affiliate of the national organization Autism Society of America. And as an affiliate, we are committed to, in pursuit of that mission of connecting people with services, we commit to 5 core service areas, which are information and referral, which is sort of our bread and butter, and being able to connect people with the resources that they need to be able to live their lives. As well, we also look to advocate for our community. What are the things that are important to our community? How can we go about helping move the needle in those areas? The third core service area is education. What is it that we can do to help educate both the community that we're serving, but then the community at large as well, about what it is we're here to do and who it is that we're supporting and how we're trying to support them and what they can do to be able to help support them. It is also about providing some support as well, largely in the form of group support meetings for people on the spectrum, so they have a safe place where they feel they can come and be seen and heard by their own community, and be recognized for the unique people that they are. And then finally, also with community events, which we'll hopefully talk about a little bit later, that be able to raise the profile on both the organization ourselves and accessing sufficient resources to be able to deliver on our mission, but also, more importantly, to be able to help people to connect with our community directly, so that they can help contribute in whatever way they feel they can and should be able to contribute to that community. So it's really those 5 areas really are the focus of all affiliates across the country. Here at Greater Hudson Region, one of the first and most important things that we've done in the first 6 months that I've been here is to be able to take a step back and assess ourselves. Do we understand what those 5 core service areas are? What are the things that we are doing that align with those core services? How could we better allocate our time, energy, and resources to committing to those 5 core service areas while also focusing on the mission at the same time? And so as we progress through that in the first 6 months, we've been able to identify some areas where we can already have some strengths in providing those 5 core areas, but at the same time also look at how can we build on those strengths to be able to deliver even more value to our community, looking at through those 5 specific lenses as an affiliate. At the same time, being able to solidify ourselves from a financial standpoint to make sure that we have the stability to be able to meet the need that is present today, while at the same time ensuring our sustainability to be able to help meet that tomorrow as well. Because one of the truths that I've learned in the almost 20 years of doing this is that often it is the children that are on the spectrum that get most of the focus and most of the resources when it comes to doing what it is that we do. And one of the truths about that is that children with autism become adults with autism. And so our market will do nothing but grow from here going forward, particularly as we've seen that diagnosis rate shift from 1 in 150 back in 2001 to, I believe the title of the show is now 1 in 36. So
1 in 36, exactly. Yeah,
exactly. So we have a growing need for what it is that we're here to do in both areas, but particularly when it comes to the adults in our community, that really we are going to need to find ways to make sure that we maintain that viability and sustainability for the long term to be able to help them meet their needs and connecting them with resources as that cohort continues to grow, while the resource pool is unlikely to grow in proportion to their needs. So that's really what we're here to do.
Well, you couldn't have timed that response any better because we're just about out of time in the first half of the show. But what I was just struck by was, I was sort of tongue in cheek was going to say, not, small agenda you have there at the Autism Society Greater Hudson Region. But no, it's awesome. And it really it all works together. I think as you're listing things out, what occurs to me is that you can't really do one of those things without also focusing on the other areas. So those core areas make a tremendous amount of sense. And when we come back from our quick break, we're going to get into some of your upcoming events. I know you have a big announcement that you're going to make about your upcoming gala, and also just the region, how people can access those services, where you are, how to get in touch, and maybe touch on, if we have time, some of the things that you, if you can think of some that you kind of hear over and over again that are coming out as themes that maybe anybody listening who's in the field can start to relate to in terms of what are the bigger things that we're starting to see as service providers and supporters and volunteers that we could dig our dig our hands into. I guess that's a lack of a better phrase. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into all those things and more with Nathan Briggs from Autism Society Greater Hudson Region. This is 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and we'll be right back.
Somewhere there's a river rushing through the woods while someone rushes through their day. There's a mountain looking up at the sky while someone looks down at their phone. A trail waiting to be walked while someone waits for a latte. This world is full of somewheres waiting for someone just like you. So go see yours at 154 national forests and 20 grasslands. And to learn more, visit nationalforest.org. The National Forest Foundation. See your somewhere.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
If I could be you.
And you could be me. For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
And now, 1 in 36 continues on 100.7 WHUD. This is a weekly community affairs program presented by the Anderson Center for Autism.
Welcome back to 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky, and I'm talking with my former colleague and now Executive Director of Autism Society Greater Hudson Region, Nathan Briggs. Nathan, again, great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Eliza. It's great to be here.
So we're both kind of speaking the same language. We have some similar backgrounds, having both kind of gotten into this field through Anderson Center for Autism around the same time, or at the same time, literally. Learned a lot, and then kind of taken our different types of, different professional interests and training, and started to see different ways that you can apply those in different settings, which is always the way that I've worked, is that I didn't kind of go into a field and say, this is what I do. It's more, these are the things that I know that I want to learn more about, that I, get passionate about. And these are some of the places that I can apply them, which definitely keeps life interesting, I would say.
It sure does.
Also, I always tell people, especially young people in my life, like that's such a great way to approach your career, is being, because it keeps you open to saying yes to opportunities.
Exactly.
So here you are now, executive director. You've been there 6 months. You started what sounds like, I don't know if it's full strategic planning, but it sounds like a strategic assessment anyway of what, the Autism Society Greater Hudson region is doing in relation to those core areas sort of prescribed by the Autism Society of America, of which you're affiliate. Let's cover some logistics if you don't mind.
Sure.
What region is the Greater Hudson region? Can you give us counties or general, map it out for us a little bit?
Sure. So the map would probably be more succinct than the counties, because our catchment is now up to 21 counties in eastern New York.
That list is too long. Give us a general sense so people know.
Generally speaking, if we're looking at the map of New York, if you start at the border of New York and Canada, go south to the Bronx, over to the east with the border of Vermont, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, and then go west roughly to Binghamton. That is the area that we are.
Wow. Well, that is I would say that's like the greater New York, but that's okay. I'll put my opinion to myself. That's quite a bit. So you've certainly expanded, because I think that, and that's important for people listening to understand that what used to be known as the Greater Capital Region has significantly expanded. So
yes.
So if you go onto your website, which is, I think, ASGHR.org, is that correct?
Correct. Yep. And definitely the best way at the moment to be able to connect with us as an organization. One of the areas in which we are looking to maintain our stability and be able to grow, we will be having a new phone number debuting recently that'll be a little more branded and be able to help promote us as an organization as well. Not quite up and running quite yet, but we're right on the cusp of Microsoft to play nice. We'll be able to get that up and running hopefully by the end of the week, which would be fantastic.
Awesome.
So the ASGHR.org website would definitely be that, and also connecting with us in person at our upcoming events. Those would be the two best ways to be able to connect with us, to be able to see how we be able to work together.
Well, and if you didn't catch that, we'll make sure we put the link to the website in when we post this podcast interview as well, so people will be able to find that easily. But it is ASGHR.org. No problem. You talked about events, and I love a good event. So tell us what's coming up.
So we have coming up this Friday on Friday, the September 6th at the Albany Saratoga Speedway. We have one of our major outside events, the third annual Upstate Chevy Dealers Autism Acceptance Race at the Albany Saratoga Speedway, put on by this great gentleman, Jordan Modiano, who is a parent in the community and a huge supporter of our organization, as well as Bring on the Spectrum up in the Capital District as well. So grandstands will open at 5:00 on the 6th. Racing begins at 7. Fans will have the opportunity to take photos with the drivers, bid on items in an exclusive auction, and the charitable proceeds generated by the race are then evenly split between the two organizations. It's one of our major fundraisers each year, and always a good time, particularly if the weather is cooperative. If it's not, the rain date will be on Friday, September 27th. So we're very much looking forward to getting
let's
together.
hope for sun. Hoping for sun.
Fingers are definitely crossed on that. Then on the 21st, Saturday the 21st, we have one of our signature events, the ASGHR Walk for Autism at Central Park in Schenectady. The events begin at 9:00, run through 11:30 that morning. The theme for this year's walk is cosplayers and characters. So get your costume on, come on out, have a great time in Central Park in Schenectady. All the goodwill and proceeds from this directly benefit ASGHR and the community that we're there to support.
That's awesome. Can I interject?
Sure, please.
Question, because a lot of times I want to make sure that anybody who's raising a child is this an accessible kind of situation where if you have a child maybe in a wheelchair, or you need some extra assistance, this is open really to the entire public.
This is open to be as broadly as possible for everyone and anyone to come on and join us. Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. The walks,
Yep.
I think, are a great way to raise awareness and funds, but also something to do in an environment where it's really good. You're going to be welcome. You're going to feel comfortable and safe. And there's going to be opportunities for support right there.
Absolutely. And we'll have fire trucks, and we'll have some police cars, and you can touch a truck and touch a car, be able to walk around the lake. We'll have a photo booth there, vendors, lots of food. It'll really be a tremendous
fun. And Central Park is a beautiful place out in Schenectady.
Yes. And so fingers are doubly crossed for good weather on the 21st.
Yes. All right. You got 2 dates. And now, is there a big reveal happening, Nathan, for the third date?
We just confirmed this morning, actually. So this is, looking back on our historical records, this is actually the 30th anniversary of the formation of Autism Society, as it was originally known, the Albany chapter of the Autism Society of America. The name has evolved as time has gone on, and our scope of influence has grown. So now it is the ASGHR 30th anniversary, and we'll be holding our 30th anniversary gala on Saturday, December 28th, falling right in between Christmas and New Year's. So we're looking for something to do.
Awesome. Everybody will still be in the mood to party.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we will be holding ours at the Hilton Garden Inn in Troy, New York on the evening of Saturday, the 28th. So be on the lookout for registration details on that coming soon. But so save the date at this point, and we would love to see everyone to be able to ring out the year and celebrate our 30th anniversary at the same time.
That is wonderful. That's exciting. Congratulations on 30 years.
Yeah, thanks. We don't look a day over 29.
I was going to say somebody's job was to compile all those years and really look to confirm, has it been 30, especially with the name changes. That can be tricky. But that's exciting. And that's on December 28th at the Hilton Garden Inn in Troy, you said, right?
That is correct.
Troy, New York?
Yep.
Okay. Another cool place to go spend some time. I think 1228 is great. You've got people in their festive wear. Maybe they, don't have anywhere to go that night yet, but now you do.
Exactly.
So can all this information about these events be also found on your website, Nathan?
Yes, all information will be, and relevant links will be there to be found on our home website. Yes.
Great. So that is ASGHR.org. Don't forget that. But again, we'll put that in when we post this podcast interview as well. Nathan, we just have a couple of minutes before we have to finish up. I know that one thing that you do is you receive a lot of questions, maybe requests for information, sometimes maybe even sort of desperate pleas for help when people are not finding what they need in a situation that's extremely stressful and overwhelming, frankly. What are some of the things that you that if you were just consider yourself talking to, maybe a group of caregivers, what would you want them to know that you're realizing they're really not alone, that there's a lot of people sort of in this circumstance searching for the same information?
So that's a great question. And unfortunately, coming back to New York and reconnecting with the community here in New York, having been out of state for a few years, one of the great joys has been getting out into the community and talking with people directly. And the one theme that has emerged in every conversation that I've had so far, whether it's with a parent, whether it's with a legislator, whether it's with a member of the business community, is that there is largely a lack of a central location for information for people to go to, whether it is first when their child gets diagnosed, what do I do now? Where do I go to be able to learn what do I do now that I have a child on the spectrum? And as importantly, transitioning from young adulthood from being aging out of the system into young adulthood, not knowing where to go or even begin to find out what things may or may not be available, and being able to understand what people's rights actually are and what it is they're actually entitled to and what it is that they need to be able to put into place to be able to help make that transition as smooth as possible. That gap in New York State has come up in every conversation that we've come across so far. So in thinking about our 5 core service areas, that for us is really the sweet spot that we need to fill for that entire eastern part of New York State, to be able to connect with people, whether on a local level, a county level, a state level, a national, or even international level, and being able to say, these are the resources that are available to you. This is how you go about accessing them to determine how you can make your life better. and being able to do that in a way that's tangible so that they can start to do something is one of the things that I did learn from being able to step into the ABA environment at Anderson, is learning that the sooner we can actually generate positively reinforced behaviors, people feel better about themselves and will continue to pursue that themselves and be able to actually achieve that self-determination on their own terms so that they're actually reflecting their own quality of life rather than being stuck and not knowing where to even begin. So that really is the most important thing that I would say has been highlighted so far in the first 6 months.
That's so well said. And I appreciate you kind of tying it all together because, and bringing also the quality of life into things, because I think that's something we certainly have in common as organizations. When you have an infrastructure that can allow people to remain individual, selves, with their own individual goals, but you focus more on creating the structure and the platform for accessible information. It's it's the perfect dynamic because you're not just feeding people the information, you think, or I think is the right information or the wrong information or whatever, but you're giving them, tools to access, which thereby sort of fulfills that mission, certainly that Anderson has to optimize the quality of life for people with autism. We've always said since we adopted that mission that what we love about it is that it's not telling anybody what that quality of life is when it's optimized, because that's up to you.
Exactly. But that literally is the person-centered model.
Exactly.
They get to make that determination for themselves in an informed way.
Exactly. Well, Nathan, it's been a huge pleasure reconnecting with you, and
Likewise,
I hope to see much more of you. And thank you for being on the podcast today. And best of luck as you move forward with all your work at the Autism Society Greater Hudson region.
Thank you, Eliza. I really appreciate the opportunity, and congratulations to you and to Anderson as well on your 100th anniversary. We hope we aspire to be able to be around in another 7 years to celebrate ours as well. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. This is 1 in 36, the weekly talk show on topics related to autism spectrum disorder. I'm your host, Eliza Bozensky. And remember, Anderson cares.
You've been listening to 1 in 36, a weekly presentation from Anderson Center for Autism, celebrating their centennial in 2024. Join them for another edition of the show next weekend.